So, Season of the Deep's basically come and went, and gotta say, I'm pretty happy overall with how it turned out. Now that we've had plenty of time to let these crafted weapons cook, I think I can give a fair bit of praise and criticism to them. We got the titular Deep collection, of course, but we also got the ability to craft the Last Wish weapons as well, and they never slack with the raid reworks. We're gonna jump right into it with the Deep collection. In order of best to worst, we've got Rapacious Appetite, the Stasis Aggressive SMG, Targeted Redaction, the Void 120 hand cannon, until its return, the Strand Rapid Shotgun, Different Times, the Strand 540 Pulse, Thin Precipice, the Strand Vortex Sword, and a Distant Pull, the Stasis Rapid Sniper. Rapacious Appetite is if you took the Immortal and balanced it. It's Blood Feud, but better. No busy sight picture, a stat package like a dream, and perks that can boost everything you could possibly want on this thing. It has swap synergy, main gun synergy, and a little bit of hidden PvP prowess tied up in one little present for us. My personal favorite combo on this thing is Encore Frenzy for PvE, but there's also Envious Harmony for swapping, Perpetual Headstone, honestly whatever you want, it's hard to go wrong. For PvP, I think the obvious choice is Perpetual Target Lock even after they nerfed it. Right after I introduced this gun, I think it's noteworthy that these guns are the inverted or taken versions of the Reckoning guns. Targeted Redaction has something special about it, being the Dark Mirror to spare rations. 120s are especially good right now in PvP, and they don't slack too hard in PvE either, not to mention the massive buffs we're getting next season. I think the combo that makes the most sense perk-wise for PvE is Outlaw Explosive, but there's also the swap synergy with Envious Harmony again, as well as fan favorite perks and destabilizing rounds in Frenzy. For PvP, this thing will most likely give the best results with Outlaw on either Explosive or Keep Away. Until its return is like Ikelo's Shotgun for the kinetic slot. It's fast, chunks bosses, ammo's plentiful, and it loads exceptionally fast. A buddy of mine loves this thing irrationally, it's honestly hard not to when it works. The role I find most comfy is Autoload and Cascade Point for PvE, but there's also Overflow or Threat Detector as well as Surrounded or Vorpal. I wouldn't recommend using a Rapid in PvP, but it fakes well enough in PvE to compensate. Different Times being a 540 feels really fast, and oftentimes fast means fun. It might not punch as hard as a 4 burst, but it has perks that make it one of the strangest pulses while maintaining a tiny bit of that familiarity to Outlast. Keeping this one short and sweet, I suggest Subsistence Golden Tricorn for PvE, and Moving Target with Headseeker for PvP. Up next is a nice little addition to the Vortex Frame subfamily, Thin Precipice. Vortex Frame swords are usually the best, given how they tend to clear a group of adds or take away some flesh from a big guy's shins. This thing's a masterpiece with a sick looking taken skin on it. Also, I think it's worth mentioning, swords are getting a little buff next season with how guard energy works, so we'll be seeing more heavy attacks more often and we'll also be taking less damage when blocking. All that out of the way, there's plenty of perks to enjoy here, and I think the most consistent would be Valiant Charge and Collective Action. The only swords people use in PvP are Eager Edge ones, so we're just going to skip that part. A Distant Pull only ranks last on this list because of its underwhelming nature in PvE, but don't get me wrong, this is a good gun in PvP because of its low zoom value. Lower zoom means larger aim assist cone, meaning this thing is illegally sticky to the head hitbox. PvP strength aside, this thing might also have some utility for longer boss damage phases. Keeping it simple, triple tap Focus Fury for PvE, moving target opening shot for PvP. All in all, a decent collection worth grinding for, and I definitely got my money's worth. I might have also crafted every one of them in the first week, but that's besides the point. Anyway, we have quite possibly a collection that's on par or more powerful than the King's Fall collection for overall potency. In descending order, we have Apex Predator, the Solar Adaptive Rocket, Techeun Force, the Arc Adaptive Fusion, Nation of Beasts, the Arc 140 Hand Cannon, Chattering Bone, the Kinetic Lightweight Pulse, Transfiguration, the Kinetic 150 Scout, Tyranny of Heaven, the Solar Lightweight Bow, Age-Old Bond, the Void 360 Auto, and the Supremacy, the Kinetic Rapid Sniper. Right off the bat, we have Apex Predator. This thing is such a good example of when an unused weapon makes a return so triumphant and powerful with its potency. There are, count 'em, 2 rockets that have bait and switch now, this one in Cold Comfort. Cold Comfort happens to be a random drop from Ghosts of the Deep, and Last Wish is both much easier to complete and drops craftable weapons. Apex Predator is literally the most meta of meta when it comes to damage, being the focal point of one of the newest pieces of damage tech with the Strand Warlock rotation becoming infinitely more prevalent as a result of this thing. Just to draw a comparison here, this thing reminds me very strongly of Cataclysmic with how prevalent it is in boss DPS now. With the bipod buff coming, this thing can do it all, so maybe we'll see more of that. I suggest Reconstruction Bait and Switch for now, and depending on your needs, Demolitionist might be more useful in that third column, with Surrounded and Bipod being other options in the fourth. Being a gun so mighty, it's hard to live up to any of that hype, but Techeun Force isn't a slacker as a runner-up. This thing is quite possibly the strongest adaptive fusion out there as of now, being one of the first fusions with controlled burst. Not only that, but it's got Kill Clip in the third, meaning you can roll double damage burst on a fusion. Now, I'm going to keep this one simple. For PvE, I suggest Kill Clip, Envious, or Rewind in the third, with your choice of Collective, Controlled Burst, or Golden Tricorn for PvE. This thing's also loaded for PvP, having Under Pressure and Slideways in the third, and Kickstart in the fourth. Don't take my words lightly, go try this thing, it's fun. Up next is another little versatile piece of work called Nation of Beasts. For all the times I get tired of having like 20 adaptive hand cannons in the game, they do tend to make it up to you by making them unique, and this one's no exception. It compensates for its outdated stat package by having an insane perk roster, but I think it's more important being specific here in what it can do. Dragonfly and Volt Shot means it can both chain and explode with one shot, making the issue of slow fire rate less of an issue for densely packed areas. So, that said, that's what I recommend for PvE. For PvP, it can also do a lot of good, with 140s being the most popular hand cannon archetype, combined with this one having Keep Away or Opening Shot in the third, with Explosive or Kill Clip in the fourth. Chattering Bone is like if you took a BXR, aged it, and gave it the best perks possible for kinetic. This thing again has double damage perks, and that's going to be a recurring theme throughout this collection. Alright, I've still got a bunch of these left to go, so Kill Clip and Kinetic Tremors for PvE, Slideways, Rapid Hit, or Kill Clip with Head Seeker or Rampage for PvP. Same kind of stuff going on with Transfiguration. It's a punchy little sucker, and its versatility is honestly really surprising, given the fact that it's the slowest archetype of scout in the game. That said, its perks and novelty really do this thing justice. Rampage and Kinetic Tremors again for PvE, no surprise there. Rapid Hit, Keep Away, or Rampage with Opening Shot, Explosive, or Kill Clip for PvP. Tyranny of Heaven kind of revolutionizes how we look at lightweight bows. Normally they're single target needle machines used from afar, but this thing can very easily take out a swath of trash mobs in a couple shots if they're close enough. I won't recommend it for PvP, but as such I will recommend it for PvE. For the third column, there's plenty to pick from, including Archer's Tempo, Explosive Head, Dragonfly, and Successful Warm-Up. For the fourth, I think the clear winner is Incandescent. Continuing with our little trend of potent primaries, Age-Old Bond is a tricky one to use, but is quite the special little sword ready to plunge into the chest cavity of an unsuspecting goblin with relative ease. Okay, Shakespearean nonsense aside, its slow nature as a 360 is the only thing hindering this thing because it has some of the same power we've seen before. My pick for PvE is Dragonfly Golden Tricorn. For PvP, I suggest Dynamics Wave the Kill Clip. Lastly, we've got the Supremacy. Not gonna lie, it was kinda hard to choose between the last three which one was going last year. While the Supremacy is a hell of a sustained damage option, we don't normally use snipers for DPS anymore considering the linear or rocket metas we've had for the past couple years. That said, this thing will do wonders as a no heavy option, or as a supplement to an auto-loading rotation. For sustain, rewind 4 times. For rotations, run rewind bait and switch. For PvP, there's some interesting ideas going on, namely 2 body shot kills with Kinetic Tremors, but that's extremely niche, so I'll let you put your effort into making that work. That about wraps up my ideas on those two collections. As far as ease of obtaining, I'd put Season of the Deep above the Wish weapons, but not by much. When Wish is in rotation, tally farming is quite strong for acquiring Red Warriors. Alright, I think that's about all I had. If you have any thoughts or whatever else about these weapons, make sure to leave a comment, and I'm going to be posting content more regularly, so a subscription wouldn't be wasted. Anyway, I appreciate you, have a good one.